Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Houston Sharpshooters Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we had the season simulation, and it was quite a roller coaster of a season. We started off the season very terribly. I think our record was like 7-15 and something, if I remember correctly. And then we decided we would pick up a new head coach, and we just did that, and our team managed to turn the page and somehow get to the playoffs after being way out of a playoff spot. So, yeah, it was a pretty interesting year for the most part. Lots of ups and downs, but we managed to make the playoffs, which is good considering this is our second straight year making it to the playoffs. So that new head coach, I'll quickly show you guys his stats because he had just an insane last half of the season for us, and it managed to get us into that postseason spot. But as you can see, we brought him in, and he went 36, 17, and 4, this guy. I really hope he could do well in the playoffs as well. I don't know if he really has the capability, considering he's more of an AHL head coach, or he used to be more of an AHL head coach. In the AHL, his playoff numbers haven't been terrible, so I'm hoping that in the NHL he could kind of be a little bit better than he was in the AHL, but hopefully it's good enough to get us maybe farther than the first round, because we definitely want to get farther than the first round if we can this year, because we got around maybe like 12 seasons left, I think, or 13 seasons, I believe. And we want to just win a cup as soon as possible, pretty much, because we are going to be running into cap problems in the next, this upcoming off season, even probably. So, but we didn't actually fire Tanev. We used him as an assistant coach just because he still had a good scheme fit. So we are still having him on our bench. And yeah, our coaching staff looks pretty good for the most part. Also, we did actually make a few lineup changes, though, in the season as well, though, because some guys were not clicking that well. So Zubov has been thrown back into the lineup just because Duke Ferraro, even though he is a 77, was not playing that good defensively at all. He was like a minus 18 in 31 games, and he's a grinder as well, so he is going to take a lot of penalty minutes if we keep him in the lineup. But if for some reason somebody like Zubov isn't doing good in the playoffs, we could take him out and throw him in instead. And yeah, our lineup looks pretty good going up into this postseason, which I'm pretty excited about. Now, before I show you guys the Colorado Avalanche lines and get into this first round matchup, I do have one comment to go over because I am recording this the day you guys literally saw the episode, because I just can't wait to get into this and see if this team could win. And that is from HawksFan88. He says, Sharpshooters just pulled the 2019 Blues, and I honestly forgot that the St. Louis Blues in real life were like that, where they just were playing terribly. They brought in a new head coach in Berube, or however you pronounce it, and then he got them to the Stanley Cup win, which is pretty nuts. So hopefully we could do the same, and hopefully we could win a cup just like those 2019 St. Louis Blues, because that would be pretty nice indeed to add a cup to our Draft to Glory team this year. But I don't know if that will actually happen or not. But anyways, we're going to be taking on the 43, 33, and 6 Colorado Avalanche that had the exact same record as during the regular season, but obviously we've been a lot better in the last half of the season than they have. So we actually have home ice advantage for the first time in the playoffs, because last year we played Chicago, and Chicago was one of the best teams in the league. So this time around we actually have an opportunity to maybe go up early in the series if we could win on home ice. So let's take a quick look at their lines just in case you guys forget, because maybe you haven't seen the episode in a few days, or you just watched the episode recently, so you might have already seen these lines. But here's what their lineup looks like. You got Kapanen, McKinnon, and Ranton, so a pretty good first line. Second line is also pretty good, but a lot of their centers are kind of dropping off, like Zibanejad. You also got Kubalik and Kirby Dach, so it's a very veteran-heavy team for the most part. There is some young guys like Harima and Betts, who's actually already 28, so never mind, he's not really that young anymore. You also have Dylan Dubé, and then the fourth line has Gushin. I don't know. I really don't know who this guy is. He's a real player, I believe. Yeah, real player. Don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's playing with Carl Henriksen and Joel Kiviranta. So yeah, this is a very veteran-heavy forward core. So hopefully that means that our younger guys could outduel these old men. And on defense, they have Valimaki and McAvoy, Lundqvist and Gerard, and then Trainer and Nolan. So pretty much their entire team is very old. Their top 6 pairing is a young pairing, but it's not a good overall pairing because both these guys shouldn't even be in the NHL at this point, but it's probably due to cap reasons why they're in. And in goalie-wise, this is where it's going to be probably tough to beat, is they do have Carter Hart, who's a 91 overall, and they also have Lutonen as their backup. Depth-wise, they got Stevens, Barkov, and Benson. So overall-wise, it's going to be probably pretty tough because that top line, we have to contain McKinnon and Rantanen basically. And then we also have to be able to score on Carter Hart, I think. And then maybe also getting past Val Mackey and McAvoy might be kind of hard, or that top four in general for the defensive core. But if we could win this series, that would be pretty amazing, because obviously we've never won a series before in the playoffs, and it would be amazing if we could win a cup this year. But who knows, maybe we won't. I feel like kind of we might get swept because of the fact we had such a good second half of the season. But I really hope we can win this year, because there is some big contracts up this offseason, and they might cost us an arm and a leg to get those players back. So anyways, let's get into this round 1 matchup against the Colorado Avalanche and see if we can get ourselves to the second round for the very first time. Home ice advantage, our first home game of the playoffs. Let's see what happens here. First period, we're down 1-0, so not a great start. That is Betts, who's on the third line, so at least it's not McKinnon or Rantanen yet. We are out shooting them, which is good though, 13-9, so we just need Soderstrom to kind of pick it up a little bit. He did start off the season really slow as well, and he was really terrible, but he kind of bounced back a bit in the second half of the season, but he still wasn't the greatest goalie I've ever had. But hopefully the goaltending could improve here in the playoffs. Second period, and it's a 3-3 game. Okay, I'll take that. I'll definitely take that for sure. So Morales tied the game up for us, and then Jääskeläinen gets a power play goal. McAvoy gets a power play goal to tie it back up. Gene Thornton restored the lead for us, and then Gushchin scores, and it's a 3-3 game going into the third. The shots are pretty even too, 24-23, but it's a 3-3 game. Who is going to get the icebreaker here in the third period? Penalty kill. You know, it's on 1 simulation. There you go. I changed it to 8 times now. I was like, why is it so slow? But it was only on 1 times instead of 8 times. Penalty kill again. Stop taking penalties, boys, here in the third. Hopefully it's not those grinders. And Sam Sea-Doo scores. Let's go. We have our first lead of the game. Well, not first lead of the game, but first lead that might actually impact the score. And Yip scores to make it 5-3. We are going to win our first game of this playoff series against Colorado. And we have a 1-0 series lead. And I believe it's our first playoff series lead. Actually, never mind. No, it's not, because Chicago we were up 2-0 on as well. So we got to make sure we keep on winning games, but we win 5-3, and the shots were 33 apiece for both teams. So a pretty solid first game, not a great defensive one, but our offense definitely stepped up when it needed to. So Morales from nobody, Jääskeläinen from Thornton and Teratukin, Thornton from Jääskeläinen, Sea-Doo from Kapitanov and Burns, and Yip from Jääskeläinen and Teratukin. So our top 6 is continuing to be a very good factor in the playoffs. Obviously, last year that those top 6 players were all really good in terms of scoring. It was just our depth scoring that wasn't doing enough. So hopefully we could get some good depth scoring in this playoff run. Jääskeläinen, what a stat line for his first start of the game. 1 goal, 2 assists, and 7 hits on the night. And then Thornton gets 1 goal, 1 assist for 4 hits, and Sea-Doo gets 1 goal and 3 hits. So I don't know if this new head coach makes us a little bit more physically minded. If he does, then maybe that's why we just won that game, because 7 hits from Jääskeläinen is quite a bit to throw in a game. But we do have a 1-0 series lead here, and we have another game right away after as another back-to-back to start this playoffs matchup. So let's see what happens and see if we can go up 2-0 on the Avalanche. That'd be nice. First period, and we're up 1-0. I like that. Yip scores again. Damn, okay. I like that. Yip. His contract comes to an end at this offseason, so I'm hoping that he's not wanting too much money. But he's got 2 goals in 2 games, which is pretty impressive for a defenseman. Shots are 13-8 in favor of the Avs, but we are up 1-0. Second period, and it's tied up by Kasperi Kapanen, who scores on Johnsson. Oh no, did Soderstrom get injured? Because there would be no reason why they would put Johnsson in unless Soderstrom got injured. So I really hope it's not an actual injury. Hopefully just the game took him out early for some weird reason, because that does happen sometimes. But the shots are 19-18 in favor of us, and we got to rely on Johnsson for the rest of this game, which is kind of scary. Third period underway. Let's see if we can get that lead back. Come on, boys. Penalty kill. Oh, goddamn. Betts scores on the power play, and then Betts scores again. Damn, this Betts guy has been pretty good for Colorado so far. But we score a shorthanded goal. Jääskeläinen pulls us within 1 power play opportunity. We tie it right back up. Okay. Liam Hedman on the power play. What a turn of events here in the third. We looked like we were going to lose 3-1, but we scored 2 quick goals. One's a shorthanded one, one's a power play goal. And we are going to overtime in game 2. The shots are 31-24 in favor of us. Let's see what happens here in overtime. See if we can get that OT winner. And yes, we can. Let's go. Korostin scores the winner, and we have a 2-0 series lead for the second straight year to start a playoff matchup, which is pretty interesting considering we are a drafted glory team. The shots in that game were 32-24 in favor of us, but we came back from a 3-1 deficit, and we win 4-3 in overtime. So Yip from Pasquale and Korostin, Jaskalainen from Roach and Morales, Hedman from Burns and Forster, and Korostin from Forster and Pasquale. So it looks like our depth scoring actually showed up that game, which is actually really nice to see that because, like I said, our depth didn't show up really last year in the playoffs, but this year so far it's starting off a lot better. Pasquale scored or got multiple points, Forster did, and Korostin did. All those guys are third liners, I'm pretty sure. So good to see the depth scoring. And then our top six really didn't do anything that game, so our top six took a back seat for a change, but that's okay. We just need to see if Soderstrom's actually injured. I really hope he isn't. I mean, Janssen got a win in the playoffs, which is nice, but Soderstrom, if he did get injured after playing only 5 minutes in that game, that would be a bad sign, because then that will make us a lot weaker, and we'd have to call it Park, and we'd have like 77 overalls playing in net. But, I mean, they could still get us a cup. Who knows, though. So Korostin gets first star with 1 goal, 1 assist. Forster the second star with 2 assists. And then Betts for them with 2 goals gets third star. Is Soderstrom injured? No, he is not. Okay, so I guess he must have just maybe got injured in-game, but it's something that is only keeping him out for that little bit. So he should be back in net for this game. Let me just make sure ahead of time. But that was a little bit weird that he only played like 5 minutes. Yeah, he is back. Okay, good. So yeah, it must have been just like a playable injury that only lasted that day, I would assume. But at least we got the win still from Janssen, so I will definitely take that. We have 2 wins so far. We have 9 goals in our first 2 games of the playoffs, and we've allowed 6. So we're definitely more of an offensive team than defensive. Let's see what happens in Game 3 as we shift the series to Colorado. See if we could go up 3-0, because we've never been up 3-0 in a series before. First period, we're up 1-0. Let's go. Korostin again. So the OT hero from last game opens the scoring in this game. The shots are 12 apiece, and it's a 1-0 for us. I'm liking that we're able to actually score on a Carter Hart, and I also like the fact that I haven't really seen McKinnon or Rantanen on the score sheet so far. Second period, still 1-0. I'll definitely take that. Shots are 26-20 in favor of us, and we're up by 1 goal. If we could get some more insurance, that would be nice, because I don't like playing just with a 1-goal lead, really. So let's see what happens here in the third, see if we could get some insurance in this game. Penalty kill early on, and we kill it off. Nicely done. Another penalty kill. Stop taking penalties, boys. You can't just keep taking penalties against this Colorado Avalanche team. That's the third penalty we've taken this third period, but we killed them all off, which is pretty impressive. And there's a big goal again from Korostin. Let's go. Our depth scoring is definitely doing a lot better than last year, and we're going to win 2-0 as Soderstrom picks up his first ever playoff shutout, I think, unless he had some last year. The shots were 34-32 in favor of Colorado, but we are 1 win away from sweeping the first round and winning our first ever playoff series, which is pretty awesome. So Korostin from Pasquale and Forster, and Korostin from Tursenbayev and Forster. So really liking our depth scoring, like I was mentioning. Korostin gets first star, Hart the second star, and Soderstrom got third star. So was it a combined shutout? What the heck? Yeah, both goalies played games and it was a combined shutout. I don't know if it tracks towards their stats, but both goalies will be getting credited, I think, with the shutout in this game, which is pretty impressive. I don't know why Soderstrom only played 31 minutes again, and why Janssen even played some of that game, but I guess I'll take it. I mean, Janssen seems to be doing pretty good for a 77 overall in the playoffs. That's kind of interesting that both goalies were in net that game and we shut them out still, so I think both of them get credit with a shutout. Let me take a look at that because I'm kind of curious on that front, because I'm pretty sure if both goalies play and they don't allow goals, they both get credit with a shutout, unless it just counts the one that had was on the ice when the goals happened for us. So Soderstrom, yep, he definitely gets a shutout. Okay, how about Janssen? I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Yep, he gets a shutout as well. So both of them got a combined shutout, and both of them have been amazing so far in this playoff run. So definitely liking the way this series has started off for us. It's just all about if we could close out the series in Colorado, or are we going to be going back home for a Game 5 situation. Let's see what happens. See if we could sweep the Colorado Avalanche that had the same record as us during the regular season. That would be great. First period, we're up 2-1. I like that. Teratukin scores, Valimaki scores for them, and a shorthanded goal from Forster. So our shorthanded unit is continuing to do what it did last year in the playoffs, and that's score goals, because last year, I believe, in round 1 against Chicago, we had like 3 shorthanded goals. I believe so far we have like 2 shorthanded goals in this series, if I'm not mistaken. The shots are 17-11 in favor of us, so we dominated that first period, but we're only up by a goal. Second period, and we're up 3-1. Let's go, Forster again. I'm loving this depth scoring right now. It is definitely showing up. It sucks though, because a lot of the guys that are scoring have like 1 year left on their deals, which means they're going to be demanding more money this offseason. But the shots are 29-21 in favor of us. We're up by 2 goals, and we're a period away from winning our first ever playoff series, which is pretty historic. Let's see what happens, especially after having the start of the season we did. We might be going to the second round, it looks like. Come on, boys, let's just lock this down. Penalty kill. Nicely done. I'll take that. Yep, we're going to be going to the second round, looks like. Final 5 minutes. Yep, we are going to be going to the second round for the very first time in franchise history as we sweep the Colorado Avalanche in convincing fashion. Shots were 35-29 in that game, and we win 3-1. And Soderstrom only allowed 1 goal in the last 2 games. But then again, I guess Janssen also did it to an extent too. But goals in that game, Teratukin from Yip and Zubov, Forster from Teratukin, and Forster again from Kapitanov and Burns. Love that. Let's take a look at those player stats quickly. Not too bad. Goalie-wise, yeah, Soderstrom has been really good so far in the playoffs, which is kind of scary because he's going to demand more money this offseason because of that, which might end up making us lose him. And I can't afford really to lose him. Well, I can, but it just would really suck to to lose him to an extent. But I mean, we could run 277 overall goalies next year if we have to lose him, which I really don't want to. Forster gets first start, Soderstrom the second start, and Teratukin the third. But we are headed to round 2 for the very first time, which is intriguing. Can't wait to see who we go up against. But first, we got to take a look at our player stats for that first round and see who did what. See who was struggling, who was doing really good, all that type of stuff. So, Jääskeläinen 4 points in 4 games like that. Pasquale and Burns both 3 points in 4 games, which is pretty good. Pasquale didn't really do much last year in the playoffs, but he is off to a good start this year. Burns is a bit quiet still. He's more of a playmaker though, as he has no goals in his first 11 playoffs games. So hopefully he could score one in next round. Turzenbaev only 1 point and Zubov only 1 point, so the fourth line's been a bit quiet, but it's okay, I guess. Forster 6 points is amazing. He didn't really do much last year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he only had 2 points last year, so off to a better start this year for sure. Morales kind of off to a slow start, same with Thornton. Both of them had points in game 1. And yeah, it looks like our top 6 actually was kind of quiet for the most part. So hopefully it wakes up in round 2. Because our depth was probably our main reason why we won that series. And then Sidor had nothing. Korostin 4 points in 4 games. Obviously, a couple of those were game-winning goals, so that's pretty nice. And then Kapitanov was also quiet. So yeah, our top 6 was really quiet, but our depth scoring was a lot better. Like, Jääskeläinen was our best player in our top 6, and then everybody else was kind of just like a bit quiet. Like Sidu, Kapitanov, Thornton, Morales. All those guys need more points than what they put up. And then defensively, Teratukin was good, 4 points. Yip was good, 3 points. Hedman and Roach were kind of quiet, but it's okay. And then Sedin and Afinasenkov had nothing. So hopefully those guys could get on the score sheet in the next round. And then goalie-wise, both goalies were phenomenal in that first round. 3-0 from Soderstrom with 1 shutout, a .952 save percentage, and a 1.53. And then Janssen 2-0 with 1 shutout, a .916 and a .212. Obviously, one of those wins is combined between the two of them, so technically they do have a combined 4 wins, but it adds up to 5 wins, which is kind of weird. So that is the player stats for the first round, and I think that was definitely a successful one. We just need to get our top 6 going for sure in next round, which hopefully we face a team that we could beat, like Colorado, because Colorado was not that bad of a team. They kind of had the same season as us in terms of the standings, so hopefully it's not a tough team that we have to face in round 2. We are going to be taking on who? It's going to be the Winnipeg Jets. Okay, so this is going to be a much tougher of an opportunity, or tougher round, I should say. The Jets won 48-29-5 in the regular season, which is better than us, obviously. But who knows, maybe we could be the team that upsets them. Well, let's take a look at how they did during the regular season in comparison to us, because I'm kind of interested in that. So they are a divisional rival. They actually won our division. Obviously, they actually have the exact same amount of goals for per game as us. So both of us have even offense. They were better defensively. We were better power play wise, and they were worse penalty kill wise. So we had better special teams and same offense. It's just their defense is a lot better than us. Okay. Kind of makes sense for what I would expect the Jets to be like at this time. Let's take a look at their edit line screen, and then we'll take a quick look at also their playoff stats, I guess, because I don't know how they've been so far in the playoffs in terms of power play and all that. So first line wise has Kyle Connor, Matthias Mueller. This guy's a 12th overall pick, interesting, and David Pasternak. So they have some really good snipers in that first line. Pasternak and Connor, obviously really good goal scorers. Matthias Mueller is interesting of a player. He does have X factors, so I don't really know how he simulates, really. Second line wise has Simon Holmstrom, Marcus Vidicek, and Kip Lowry. This is a really weird looking team. They have really good center depth, but the wingers are kind of interesting in terms of the bottom six, because they have Jerome Caron, Cole Perfetti's down there. They also have Nick Ritchie, fourth line of Boris Kachuk, Mason Shaw, and Ty Delandria. Interesting. Yeah, that's not a bad forward core. I can see why they were solid offensively like us, and then defensively, which they were better than us in the regular season, is kind of weird because their defensive core is not the greatest I've seen, but it's definitely better than what we just faced. Well, actually, maybe not, because I feel like Colorado had a better top four, but Winnipeg has better depth in terms of their top six. So first pairing is Chychrun and Broberg, and then they have Liljegren and Bean. And top six wise, they have Bjorn Fott and Kokkonen, Mikko Kokkonen, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced. Goalie wise, they have Spencer Knight and Tony Springas, who's a 68 overall goalie. Okay. It's kind of weird. He did play in the playoffs before last season, which is kind of weird too. But they do have Spencer Knight, who had a really good season this year with 8 shutouts. Yeah, I think he might win the Vezina this year. He's off to a really good start in the playoffs as well. So beating Spencer Knight might be tougher than beating Carter Hart for us. And in depth-wise, they have Artemi Knyazyev. They also have Justin Cote and Stefan Gens. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting looking team. I don't really know if they would be better than us. Maybe they would be because of Pasternak and Kyle Connor, because both those guys I know could score a lot of goals. So we got to definitely shut them down, and we definitely got to find a way to solve Knight, because Knight is going to be definitely the toughest part about that team, I think, considering how good he was during the regular season and so far this playoff run. Let's take a look at their stats, and then we'll take a look at the playoff tree quickly as well. So if we go entire league-wise, let's take a look at those teams that won 4 games. So the Winnipeg Jets, 3.33 goals per game, which is less than us currently. They also have more goals against per game than us, but I don't know if our goals against is going to hold up really like that. We had a better power play as well, and so far they have a better penalty kill. Damn, their penalty kill has been amazing this playoff run. Only 1 power play goal against on 25 opportunities. So hopefully our power play can get going against a hot penalty kill. So that is that. Let's take a quick look at that playoff tree, and then that'll be it for this episode. So it's going to be us in Winnipeg. Winner of that series will face either Edmonton or Chicago in the conference finals. Obviously, we played Chicago before. Edmonton probably still has like McDavid and stuff like that, so it's probably a nasty team in Edmonton. And then in the East, you got Pittsburgh and Buffalo, and Toronto in the Rangers, which is kind of interesting. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Houston Sharpshooters Draft to Glory. So in next episode, we will take it to round 2 for the first time in franchise history, as we take on the divisional winners in the Winnipeg Jets and look to get to the conference finals for the very first time. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.